Hey, we're back at 8:30 for a live show. Great to be back. Haven't done a live show at 8:30 for a couple of days. I missed it. And great to be back with you today live for PCE numbers, which come out in just a few minutes. It is a beautiful, crisp November day, the last day of November here in beautiful Plymouth. They were talking about PCE on Mornings with Maria this morning. Let's pick it up where they left off here. This will be a good preview of the number, which is coming out in just a minute. We're expecting 3.5% on the core PCE on an annualized basis. Let's pick up this interview with Maria.
Well, look, we're talking about the PCE index this morning. It's out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. What's your take? Economists are expecting core prices to be up 0.2% month over month, 3.5% year over year, James. Is this going to be a market mover?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a market mover, and I think it's going to come in better than expected. And to add to what Mark said about the Fed screwing it up, and this is part of it as well, I think, of course, they're going to screw it up.
Of course they're going to screw it up.
Think that rates are probably too high right now, and we haven't felt the punch of those higher rates because of the circumstances that led up to the actual hiking cycle, meaning that for 5 years, the 10-year average 1.96%, giving everyone a chance to roll into duration.
Which was artificially low, right?
To extend their loans. So most people were insulated from this, and that's why the effect of these rate hikes are taking longer to hit. I think the decline in inflation we've seen is mostly because of healed supply chains and the fact that the government isn't shooting money directly into people's accounts anymore like they were doing a couple of years ago. I think we're going to start to feel the effects. I think there's going to be a hard landing. And by the way, it always feels like a soft landing as you're heading to the ground. It's the contact of the ground that shakes you up a little bit. There were plenty of people.
Yeah, it's not the fall that hurts. It's the sudden stop.
People calling for a soft landing in 2006, 2007 when we started to hit the skids.
I do remember that distinctly, that, people, everything's going to be fine. 2006, it's going to be absolutely fine. Let's go over to Rick Santelli.
And on the spending and income side, of course, everybody's asking the same question, Joe. Where did that 5.2% GDP come from? Maybe it's the dual speeds with respect to some of the positives of stay-at-home work.
We're just awaiting the number
so much
with
savings. You go online, 6,000-7,000 just in food. Well, somebody would say, of course, that's coming away from businesses that are losing that in the downtown and more urban areas. But maybe it's just different speeds. The loss side on one isn't reflective of the spending consumption side on the other. And now we're at 8:30 Eastern. I'm going to check out the wires as they spin by, and the numbers are starting to populate. Let's look at personal income and spending. Jobless claims hitting the wires first. 218,000. On initial jobless claims, spot on with what the analyst expected. 218. 1,927,000 for continuing claims. We just popped over the 1.9 million I was referencing. It hasn't happened since November of 2021 when we were at 1,964,000. So that is something to pay attention to. Let's watch those yields. Personal income up 0.2%, exactly as expected. If you look at the spending side, also up 0.2%, exactly as expected. Real personal spending, accounting for inflation, deuces are wild, also up 0.2%, which is 1/10 better than we were looking for. Now, all three are less than the rear view mirror. Revisions haven't hit the wires yet. And this one, the middle one, particularly on the spending side, that's coming off of up 0.7. So we want to pay attention to any revisions that might come down the pipe. Now let's get into the real important numbers. Personal consumption expenditure, the deflator, month over month, expected to be up 1/10, is unchanged. Goose egg following up 0.4%. Moderation there. Now we go from month over month to year over year, expecting a number of 3.1 and comes in at 3%, comes in at 3%. Wow. And this one we need to reference history. 3% is a new cycle low on this. Yeah. And the last time we were anywhere near that level would be March of 2021 when it was 2.7%. Okay, now let's back to month over month. This time, the core PCE month over month deflator expected to be up 0.2, up exactly 0.2. Now, the biggie, personal consumption expenditure, core deflator year over year, 3.5 expected, 3.5 delivered. In the rearview mirror, we had 3.7, which was the lowest going back to May of 2021. So we see that these numbers are moderating on some of the issues regarding personal consumption expenditures. That's most likely something the Fed will welcome. I'm a little surprised that yields haven't moved a little bit more aggressive to the downside, especially on the continuing claims number. But here we hover. We have 2-year note yields basically unchanged. All the other yields are higher. Curve is getting less inverted. That is a positive in many ways. A more steepening curve will be bringing back more normalcy, and it will lower things like hedging costs for those, of course, that are looking towards Japan. And
so there's your personal spending number month over month. It's the same. Jobless claims up 7,000. That's going to be an indication of a slowing economy.
Don't seem to be very nervous about the jump in claims. They're holding on to very sizable gains and extending them as we are discussing the numbers. Joe, back to you.
And the core PCE number year over year stays at or hits the projection of 3.5%.
Explain why that was such a hot number, Rick?
No, I don't think really that there is. I'm looking at the spending numbers here, and they have moderated, but they're still not bad. I think the real issue here continues to be, Joe, let's say, look at government workers. Government workers, if you look at all the vacant real estate that they're not going to work and sitting in every day, that's a significantly larger amount of empty real estate than the private sector. But both of those stay-at-homes really want to fight to remain at home. They don't want to come back to the office. And I think embedded in that dynamic are many consumer positives that have contributed to much more consumption. And I think the other side of the ledger there is going to be what we see down the road a bit, and when we get a double punch, because people will be forced to go back to work, and some of those costs, well, they're going to see much higher when you...
I don't know about that, because here in Boston, it's leveled off at least. We're about 75% of what we were, and we have not seen much growth on that number all year. So whoever came back, and I don't really see many more people going back. Whoever came back already came back. I don't see that going up anytime soon. Thank you once again, Rick Santelli. Fantastic report as always. I think the biggest number here is that the year-over-year core PCE number hit the target of 3.5. I don't think Rick said the revisions were out yet. So last month it was 3.7. People are going to indicate to that the Federal Reserve is continuing its progress in lowering inflation. Of course, 3.5 is nowhere near, or at least, not at the 2% stated target of the Fed. The Fed has this 2% stated target of the Fed. 3.5% is off of that. But I think the market is going to look at this and say, we've beat inflation. I'm pretty sure that's going to be the argument here. And the call to have the Fed lower rates sooner rather than later is going to intensify based upon these numbers that we had here. If we had a surprise to the upside and it came in at like 3.9 or something like that, then I think people are like, whoa, maybe we haven't beaten inflation. But, and I don't think we have, just a bit long term, maybe for now. But I'm incredibly pessimistic about inflation and the interest rates over time, although I am happy to be wrong right now, and I am totally wrong right now. If you go to Mortgage News Daily, you'll find that good news, and I'm happy to be wrong. Mortgage rates now are down at the low 7s, 7.13, which is the lowest rate in nearly 3 months, which is, great news for buyers and for sellers for that matter. The 10-year has broken what was definitely going to be a support level of 4.34. It is now broken below that. So I was wrong about that too. Happy to have been wrong. Told you I would have been happy to be wrong. The Dow is off just a little bit. The Dow futures just before the announcement were at about 245, and now we're at 215.
That feels like a household sector on fumes and a business sector is not very enthusiastic, that's a recipe for slow at best growth in 2024. And I think that's what we're looking at.
Gentlemen, I want to play you something,
Slow at best.
just get your reaction if I could. This is Vice President Harris and what she said yesterday at the Deal Book Summit about inflation. Take a listen.
Economic measures and don't necessarily connect with the heart and the experience and the feelings of the American people. For many Americans,
all right, make it
prices are
stop.
still
I can't take that anymore. I can't listen to that more than that. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, I can't listen to that anymore. Did I want to show you anything else about? All right, no. Can we? I can't do. Come on, I can't do vice. I can't listen to the vice president. Let's bring it back. All right, they're done with their
great,
quote.
but that's halfway home.
OMB
That's not
director.
the finishing stretch.
Right.
That's halfway to the 2% target. So, when I read the Fed minutes and the staff outlook is we'll get to 2% in 2026, that tells you have a lot of battle with inflation left.
That's my
Brad,
point.
but the other piece of this is, do you think that a president ever gets credit one way or the other? I mean, it's funny. I think they get blame as interest rates go up, inflation goes up. I don't know if they get credit on the way down.
Yeah, look, I think that what the vice president said is accurate as well. I think what we have learned from the past couple of years is that even when income may be rising, and in many cases, especially for lower income households, rising faster than prices, people still don't like paying higher prices. People
Still don't like paying higher prices, and certainly the prices of houses have significantly gone up. That's for sure. Let's cut now to the never-ending drama. It's like The Young and the Restless or some soap opera as the world turns, and that is our antitrust drama. This is an important story out of Inman yesterday. I don't think this got enough attention, but effectively what happened here in the Morell case, is that how you say it, Morell? The conventional wisdom was that the court was going to go to trial. This case was going to go to trial sometime in the spring of next year. And all credit to Andrea B. She attended the hearing virtually, is from what I understand, and the telephonic hearing. And effectively, the judge said that we'll try the case in the fourth quarter of 2024. We also heard again from NAR's overall strategy was like, oh, no, we're not even going to be ready in the fourth quarter of 2024. Oh, no, we're still, as Andrea B. said, we're still trying to analyze. We're still analyzing the consequences of the Stitzer verdict. We can't possibly go to trial in a year from now. So, yeah, it's delay, hurry up and delay. So the only really substantive change that has occurred universally, if I can just kind of apply it like this, is the rule that you do not have to offer commission to the buy side, right? They caved on that. They used to say you had to offer at least $1. Now you can offer nothing and still comply with the policy. But as we learned from Northwest MLS and Bright MLS, that so-called change in policy is the distinction without a difference. It has no real market impact. So given the fact that that Morell case is now going to be pushed off until the end of next year, you wonder if the Department of Justice, especially with the election in a year, or actually less than a year, you wonder if the Department of Justice now puts their foot on the pedal and says, we have to go forward with this thing now because we don't know of the outcome of the court case, because now it's going to be delayed. So, and we don't know the outcome of the election. And as we know, generally speaking, the Biden administration, Department of Justice is, how do I want to say this, more aggressive than the prior Trump administration was on this topic. I think that's pretty darn clear. So big development there in that it's going to be delayed. Nothing's going to happen. I still believe, and as we talked about the other day, I still believe that this new regulatory environment has a lot of business opportunities, even though it's undecided what it's going to be. Once you cave on that, the dollar to zero rule, I think that does potentially open up a lot of new business opportunities. And you've opened up this giant can of worms. By the way, if you want to throw in a comment there, I'd be happy to read your comments. It does open up this giant can of worms. And now you've educated the public about, do I have to pay a commission? It starts that conversation. Let's see. We have Mike. Santa Claus comes early this year. I hope so. At least I think what you're saying is that more likely the Fed is going to cut, right? More likely the Fed is going to cut. Maybe that's what you're kind of implying there. So as you know, yesterday, I did a live stream because we were going to do a live stream of the Ricky Carruth, Michael Ketchmark interview. We're going to have a watch party. I was all fired up, but of course, Ricky Carruth apparently has lost Michael Ketchmark's number. Ricky, don't lose my number. It's the only one I have. But apparently, Ricky lost Michael Ketchmark's number. And while I was doing my watch party for Ricky Carruth, I also invited Michael Ketchmark on this channel. And I'd be happy to have him on live, unedited, 15, 20, 25-minute discussion, freewheeling discussion, nothing out of bounds. Of course, I welcomed the verdict before it even happened. So you could say I'm a friendly audience. But I think from a critical thinking point of view, there's a number of different things that we could critically talk about. And I mean in that the critical thinking, most constructive way of the use of that word. But while I was doing my live stream yesterday at 3:00, Anthony Lamacchia was also doing a video, or dropped a video. And here he is saying that he would not have Michael Ketchmark on his channel.
Our industry, of course I wish that. Okay, I'm happy to do it. And guess what, folks? To Michael's credit, he is too. That's another reason he called. He said, listen, I just want you to know, I will debate you on any stage, anywhere. Was he trying to get on Crush It in Real Estate? I don't know. Maybe, but he's not getting on Crush It in Real Estate.
So Anthony is basically saying that he would debate Michael Ketchmark anywhere. And it seems as if Michael Ketchmark would debate anywhere, but Anthony won't have him on his channel.
I'm not putting him on any of my platforms that I own because I don't think he's deserving of that. He's trying to take down our industry. Okay, this is someone that thinks we should be on the Australian system, which provides people no help. And I'm going to go over something about that in a little while about Australia. So he will be on none of my platforms, but he said he'll do it on any platform. And then I said, well, why did you bail on Inman? And he said, well, Anthony, I wouldn't exactly say I bailed. All
right, so that brings back the controversy about what happened with the whole Michael Ketchmark Inman Connect appearance. And we haven't heard directly from Mr. Ketchmark about what happened there. And there's been some characterization that he withdrew. If Mr. Ketchmark would come on our channel, I would give him the opportunity to answer that question. Anthony Lamacchia was keyed up to be the, how do I want to say this, rebuttal to Mr. Ketchmark. So Mr. Ketchmark was going to have his kind of like presentation, and then I would imagine there'd be some type of short break, and then Mr. Lamacchia would be up on the program to answer. And that seemed fine. That seemed fair. You know, A and B both give him the free equal amount of time. But when the whole Ketchmark thing fell through, so he wants to debate him. Anthony said he would debate him, but he won't do it on his own channel. Okay. I mean, what more friendly environment could there be, Anthony, than debating Ketchmark on your own channel? Let's go over to Ricky Carruth and see, has Ricky made any further explanation about deleting all of those videos and deleting the live stream. No, I'm just looking over here. I'm looking for an answer. No, Ricky Carruth has made no further comment about the fact that he deleted the Ketchmark live stream, deleted the video that he mocked Mr. Ketchmark, and deleted the video where he describes that Mr. Ketchmark called him, which is kind of weird because, Ricky's whole
another question I've gotten
spin is that he's speaking truth about real estate, but I guess that doesn't come to speaking truth about his own channel. So some more drama with Notorious ROB and the fabulous Greg Robertson on the Industry Relations podcast. They had a guest, Sam DeBoard, who apparently is the CEO of the Real Estate Standards Organization, RESA, which is kind of like, I don't know how they're officially connected with NAR, but let's just say they're tight with NAR. And Rob Hahn, who is, kind of the intellectual, can we say he's he calls himself just a blogger, but definitely kind of one of the intellectual powerhouses here, gadfly, whatever you want to call it. And he loses his, yesterday on the Industry Relations podcast. Let's bring that up for you. It's quite funny. By the way, if you want to type in a comment, I highly likely will bring it up and we'll talk about it. So here is Rob Hahn, a little feisty on the Industry Relations broadcast. I strongly recommend you watch. Here's a quick clip.
I made that statement not knowing. You might know. Was there a comms plan for if we lose Sitzer?
Again, it would probably be better if I just put together a load of documentation that I received as not anyone on the leadership team, as just a member. Again, these are these binary statements, no communications plan. Does that seem like the most likely scenario? No, it doesn't. Now, maybe it wasn't the communications plan you would have liked.
Right. Or either that or the comms plan is the most incompetent, utterly foolish one I've ever seen.
And does that seem like the most likely scenario?
At this point, what's the alternative? The alternative is they have some genius 3D chess plan that involves the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, and CNN going on and calling realtors a cartel that without being answered. That's a great communications plan.
So basically what he's saying is that, if this was Coca-Cola and you were fighting for your life in the courtroom, you'd have a whole PR team, rapid response team, that would have a plan that's, hey, if we lose this thing, which we don't think we're going to lose, we're going to have a lot of availability to all the shows and all the media outlets to put our spin out there to the general public. Heaven forbid we lose, or if we win, even.
Well, again, they have been answered because we get communications as members about them saying cartel.
They've been answered by whom? Where?
By NAR to membership.
Who gets?
All right, so here's where Rob loses it.
Shit, we're talking about consumers, Sam. We're talking about the fact that New York Times. No, hold on. This is the important part, right? If NAR had competent PR and communications people, okay, this is what they go. If we lose Sitzer, we're going to have the New York Times, CNN, and Wall Street Journal write these articles calling us crooks and calling the NAR cartels. So you know what we need to do? We need to book Tracy on Good Morning America, CNN, Fox News, just line them all up, right? The minute we lose, she needs to be on the next episode of that show saying, hey, it didn't come out the way you wanted, but as the president, I need to explain to you all, realtors are not crooks, this is not a cartel, this is a disagreement, we're right about nothing. No media appearances anywhere, nothing. No.
Which is true. I think it was like 5 or 6 days until Tracy Casper produced the video on the NAR site only. And to be fair, I thought the video she made was pretty good, and I thought she was a good messenger for her point of view. I would have liked 100x'd that, and so I agree with Rob Hahn relative to the media strategy. It was way too late and nowhere near as much. They should have been dialing that up immediately prior to the trial. And I know she's new, but to basically in one of the biggest developments in the entire industry in decades, they wait 5 days and then release one video on an internal website. It's like, hello, you should have been on Hoda, right? Right? You should have been on The View or something. Rob Hahn continues.
Articles, no op-eds going immediately to New York Times, Wall Street Journal, all these fucking places. Nothing. Instead, email to the membership. Who gives a shit about the membership, dude? Membership's already a member. We are talking about consumers. What Greg said, that now agents have to deal with home sellers coming to them saying, so I understand you guys are crooks and I don't have to pay this commission. No
Greg,
comms plan.
I would love for you to be able to talk, but I have to follow up.
Sorry, go ahead, Greg.
All right, so watch that episode. It's priceless. It's like an hour something episode. I'm going to strongly super recommend it to you. Industry relations. It gets a little feisty, but it's a good listen. And by the way, you don't have to watch it. You could just listen because it's a podcast. All right, so a quick story here from Resi Club. The 10 housing markets expected to see the most home buyer migration in 2024, again by Lance Lambert. And as you know, Resi Club is one of my favorite new real estate website. And we won't even get into this story because I think what's really interesting about Resi Club right now is this interview that was done with its co-founder. I think I'm going to probably mispronounce this, Anthony Papalano. Is that how you say it? And we're going to get into that in just a second. But the same old story, the migration move has slowed down a little bit, probably because of interest rate lock that we've talked about a lot on this channel. But as you can see, the number of places that people are moving to Sacramento from San Francisco, because Sacramento's a lot cheaper. We're moving to Vegas, moving to Orlando, Myrtle Beach, Portland, Boston. People move out of Boston, they're moving to Portland. I don't know why they would move someplace colder. Portland's a nice place, don't get me wrong, but it's colder, right? As an older I get, less I like this winter stuff. Sarasota, Salisbury, Maryland, that must be some cheaper suburb outside of Washington, D.C. Florida, again, Nashville, and Tampa. So what I want to bring up to you is this podcast that the co-founder of Resi Club put up. And by the way, if you don't know the co-founder, whom I don't know, he is also the author of The Pomp Letter. And the reason why I want to bring this up to you is because I was reminded of this the other day. If you're not in the business of trying to put yourself out of business, then somebody else is going to do that for you. And as I was listening to this podcast the other day, or this morning, I was realized that it's going to be people like this, people that found Resi Club, that are going to be the kind of creative thinkers that are going to be able to get venture capital money or even bootstrap it, out of their own financing to come up with some creative business model to make a lot more money, because basically why so many people are very upset is because whether it's Mr. Lamacchia or whoever it happens to be, is because they feel threatened, right? They feel threatened. And you can either be the change or you can get run over by the change. And so whether you're a small local real estate agency, or whether you're an established big real estate agency, let's just, like Thomas Cook Travel or Century 21, you might get run over. So you've got to be the people that are starting to think about, how do I actually put myself out of business? That's you've got to be an innovator or you're just going to get pushed over. And it's when I listen to this guy here, I say, maybe not him, but maybe somebody like him is the type of person that is thinking every day about how to innovate in this business. And so let's just play a little clip from the first million podcast. My first million.
You brought some ideas. Let's rattle them off. So start with number one. What ideas and trends or opportunities do you see right now in the market?
Yeah, so this first one is one that we're actually doing. So I thought a lot about it. Housing affordability is the worst it's been in this century. We continue to see people are worried, like, hey, I want to buy a house. Should I rent? Should I buy? What are interest rates going to do? All these different things, but there's no dominant voice in terms of news commentary and data. And so we started a company called Resi Club. The idea really in the beginning is just go educate people about what is happening. And so I'm not an expert on residential real estate. I don't know that many other experts on residential real estate. So we were able to partner up with a gentleman named Lance Lampert. Lance was the real estate editor at Fortune magazine. So he's like, quote unquote, legit, right? He's got 75,000 followers on Twitter. A lot of people in the industry all follow him. And we basically just said to him, like, look, man, we want to go build the dominant platform in residential real estate coverage. Why don't we do it together? We know how to scale things. We know how to grow this stuff and monetize. You know the content. You are the expert. And so let's partner up. And so we've gone ahead. We've got started. It's about 2 months old. And, you know, I love these types of businesses because they kind of look stupid almost in the beginning. They're like, oh, you guys just like created a newsletter. Like, yeah, that's exactly what we did. And then it turns into like a media site. And then it turns into a data product. And then like, I don't know, 10 years from now, are we going to have the information where we can go and seed like, you know, general contractors in different markets to actually build affordable housing? Like maybe. And so you start with this small little thing that you can build profitably and you don't have to raise money or kind of do anything where there's these, you know, huge expectations. But as you grow the business, you can increase your ambition over time. And so I think a lot of people.
So 2 thumbs up to this podcast. And basically what he said, he went on, he said he put about $100,000 into Resi Club, but they didn't really tap that money at all, because Resi Club became profitable within the first like 30 days or whatever, selling memberships for, I think, $150. So yeah, they sold enough of those. And effectively what he's talking about here is a total, what do they call it? Total assignable market, or a large market for this, with people that have extra money. So if you're a real estate broker or you're a builder, there's data is power, that basically Lance Lampert is an expert at reissuing, repackaging, to borrow a quote from the Smiths. And he puts it out there in a way that's understandable, explainable. That's the job of a journalist, to take all this data and then package it up to something that people understand. And there's power in that, and there's a business in that. Not only is there just a media business, which can be profitable, but there could be so much more. So if you're thinking that you should be scared of those people, you should be. And if you're thinking that maybe you need to start to think like them rather than just be upset about some verdict, then you're onto something. All right, last thing I wanted to show you, I've been very eager to share with this, is this video by Josh Leakchak. I think that's his name. And he's, I think, out of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Amy Nixon, who is also out of Dallas-Fort Worth. Anyway, here is a video of these houses. And they, to me, they look like shotgun, like really narrow double deckers. You wonder if they're prefab. You can see it here in the aerial. I wonder if I make that a little bit bigger. There you go. That's better. And let's play a little bit of the, there's another, I am not a big fan. This is out of, I think it's in the Dallas-Fort Worth here, of the power line in the background. How do you like these houses? I don't know. Let's watch a little bit of the video.
Most affordable home in San Antonio, Texas.
San Antonio. Oh my God, you see how narrow that thing is? Oh my God. That's like a Beacon Hill house.
All right, guys. So what we got here is a tiny home. You have a little breakfast nook here, and you have a full kitchen. You have a
breakfast nook. That's not enough place to put my shoes.
Sink, dishwasher, stove, and you have a space for a refrigerator. All right, guys. So we're in the bed.
I had an apartment in the north end of Boston that was bigger. Stop. I don't. I wonder what that place is going to look like in 10, 15, or 20 years. But are they built quality? I don't think so. So yeah. Hey, Sharon. Good morning, Sharon. Thank you so much for joining us. My pleasure. Great episode. Glad you liked it. By the way, over at onlinerealestateacademy.com. We are having our Cyber Week sale, which is going great. Cyber Week sale going great. Check out the broker sale that we have, the sale on broker class. Broker class, we've never had it at this price, $162 for broker class. Check it out over at onlinerealestateacademy.com. Thank you so much. It's been great to be back with you at 8:30 a.m. Go make some money. Have a great day. Bye-bye.